Greetings everyone and welcome to the Planet Ripple Logs. I'm your host, Nick on Planet Ripple. Last time we focused on the biological changes in Ripple's future humans created by extraordinary environmental pressures including a global flood. Before we talk about other aspects of humanity, their ships, diets, bionic implants, and piracy, I want to touch upon some of the most ancient sapient beings on the blue planet. The term Merfolk encompasses a large range of species with a variety of traits and lifestyles. The origins of many still unclear to humans. There will be a time to cover most of these, but this log features one in particular very closely associated with us, Homo aquarius, nicknamed dolphin merfolk for their ability to communicate with and affinity for dolphins. While humans have changed a fair bit since the flood began, our distant watery cousins have barely changed at all, even retaining a height comparable to 21st century humans. And their more unique features are ones they had long before we came along. Millions of years before the rise of humanity, a primate took the same brave steps into water that early whales like Pakicetus did. Of all the different merfolk types, dolphin merfolk are the most similar to humans, with fully functioning lungs, noses, vocal cords, dense bones, memories, large broad feet, fingernails, and even some sparse hairs, including eyelashes. While most of these are traits of a common ancestor, a few commonalities occurred independently of humans, like their human shape. Compared to the streamlined torpedo shape of penguins, seals, and whales, our human body type is far from the best for living underwater, but it is more hydrodynamic than many primates, and could serve as an intermediate stage on the way to attaining that perfect underwater physique. These merfolk are only semi-aquatic, spending much of their time on land resting, foraging, and avoiding predators. As humanity conquered land, the merfolk retreated to hide from us, now spending most of their time in the water and only stopping to rest on beaches or in caves at night, always with a few merfolk on watch duty. Along with their human-like build, they also independently developed human intelligence, if not slightly greater, about a million years before we did. Their communicative skills and cooperative lifestyle resulting in intricate merfolk societies. Even as land returns to the blue planet, some humans don't believe there was a land before, instead having faith that Ripple was always a water world. Ancient humans cast out of the sea for angering it. There are even some humans who worship merfolk as God's children, the true inheritors of all creation. For reasons already made apparent, the merfolk themselves find that premise impossible and disturbing. While Ripple's humans are longer lived than today's, merfolk lifespans average slightly longer still, around 130. The oldest merfolk in recorded history lasted an exceptional 184 years without any cyborg enhancements to her name. Merfolk infants are stronger and in some ways smarter than human infants, needing to swim, communicate, and potentially evade predators from the beginning. It can take some time for their sensitive eyes to open, so instead of sight, they use echolocation to stay close to guardians, gaining a wide vocabulary within weeks of being born. One of their stranger quirks is how they learn to swim. Dolphin merfolk are born with a placental swaddle, a sickened skin that binds their legs but doesn't grow with the body, painlessly molting after a few months. By this time, most babies will be trained to swim by kicking their legs together. As their flippers unfurl and grow, they spread their feet in a shape similar to a whale's tail, and it's this style of swimming that fooled many a human sailor in ancient times, inspiring the classic image of a mermaid. Their forearms and calves are lined with rigid fins filled with cartilage, and their fingers and toes are webbed. While the webbing of their flippers is thick and leathery, the membranes on their hands are stretchy enough to grasp some objects between their digits with relative ease. Any of these webs tearing, especially the feet, can leave a merfolk disabled, though humans have developed prosthetic flippers and gloves that can fully restore their swimming ability. There are even longer gloves and boots with fake fins for those who have damaged or lost theirs. But if a merfolk is too disabled to assist the tribe, their fellow tribemates will take care of them, because of course. Like whales, their nostrils have migrated to their foreheads, though unlike whales, they've formed a crest resembling outdated depictions of some sauropods. The length and shape of this nose crest can vary, some barely protruding and others standing out like a sail or a rudder. Combined with a cartilaginous bump where the nose used to be, it can sometimes almost look like they have two noses. The most shocking thing to many merfolk children upon first meeting humans is how our nostrils, crest and all, can be in the middle of our face instead of above, where it ought to be. Most merfolk have green sclera with bright yellowish pupils and irises, but on occasion other eye colors may appear as mutations. Babies and younger children have dull grayish skin, less likely to attract predators, but as they get older, many gain bright beautiful complexions, with contrasting spots, stripes, or big patchy freckles covering much of their bodies. The sheer diversity of combinations can seem a bit random at times, some traits skipping many generations only to suddenly reappear. Merfolk parents are doting and protective, not only to their own but others' children, frequently fostering the young of their their neighbors performing other duties to the group. They can communicate over vast distances using echolocation, connecting tribes through a network of relays spanning the globe. Information travels quickly, and these relays can only stand to stay physically isolated from their tribe for so long, swapping duties with other members every few days. Within larger tribes, some tasks rotate between many members, and it's common in these communities for children to have 1 or 2 surrogate families, or a group of several guardians who take turns so they're always looked after. While merfolk are perfectly capable of speaking as humans do above the surface, they're more comfortable humming to each other underwater as dolphins and larger whales do. Merfolk languages are soft, made of M, N, and L sounds, vowels, and the occasional click, with simple names like Noma, Nalm, and Yolm, the kinds you can say with your mouth closed, like this. Of course, as a human, I can't quite do them justice. Like many species with their own unique calls, merfolk are able to make and detect patterns and subtleties imperceptible to our underdeveloped ears. In this vast, dangerous ocean, they can also scream as a defensive measure, humming intensely enough to vibrate an enemy's body, generating heat and causing them great pain. This can easily rupture the eardrums of nearby underwater humans. Their skin is about as smooth as a human's, but thicker and more resistant to tearing. It can dry out after a while, so if a merfolk visits you, be sure to have a pool or at least a shower on hand to keep them hydrated. Even damp towels will do. They don't sweat or exhale as much moisture as we do, so they don't need to drink much water to survive, though they're better adapted to drinking seawater or brackish water. Fresh or tap water just passes through them. But no sodas or Monster-type energy drinks, those will kill them. In fact, most processed foods we consume today without a thought would cause kidney failure in a merfolk. No doubt a few humans throughout history have put their merfolk besties in the ER by sharing their favorite snack. Even milk could be harmful, as most merfolk develop lactose intolerance after infancy, though after encountering humans for many generations, they are beginning to grow out of it like we mostly did. Cooked meats or veggies are great, just be careful what you season them with. Merfolk especially love grilled fish. If you live near a merfolk tribe and you had a grill or a skillet, you get popular pretty quick, your neighbors happily sharing their bounty with you to see it made just right. Now for their strangest trait. Yes, stranger than the disintegrating placental sleeve, and maybe one you've noticed. While they mainly rely on their lungs, they do also have a primitive set of external gills. Not true gills like a fish, more like an axolotl and some other amphibians. When out of water, these X-gills retract under flaps of skin to prevent desiccation. They don't filter nearly enough oxygen for a large, still mostly mammalian species to survive for long, but they can buy a few extra precious seconds or even a minute to reach the surface between full breaths. Instead of simply growing a bigger chest with greater lung capacity or surface area for these X-gills, or again going for that ideal underwater shape, they've created this redundancy, if not a fluke, with their incredibly inefficient placement, close to the lungs but often constricted by the arms. In fact, just a bit of advice, if for any reason you ever find yourself hugging a merfolk, don't put your arms under theirs. These gills are very sensitive and easily damaged if squeezed too hard. For this reason, merfolk hugs are rare and usually only go one way at a time. That's not to say two-way hugs don't ever happen, you just gotta be gentle. While merfolk can hold their breath much longer than humans, it's not nearly enough for sustained sleep in the water, and while waking merfolk can take turns carrying others while they sleep, they'd all eventually exhaust themselves and drown. While an endless ocean may be ideal for some species, the disappearance of land forced these merfolk to reveal themselves to the futuristic ship-bound humans of the day, seeking rest on their boats. From there, the two species formed a symbiotic relationship that has persisted for thousands of years, merfolk herding schools of fish into nets and connecting ships through their network to steer clear of danger, and humans providing supplies, medical attention, and shelter aboard their ships when the merfolk need it. And yes, there are even human merfolk relationships. They're not very common, as one or both partners would need to consider serious lifestyle changes to make it work, but it does happen on occasion. Our species aren't biologically compatible enough to produce offspring, and some humans would no doubt call such partnerships an abomination, but merfolk society is a bit more accepting than ours, many tribes encouraging curious merfolk to seek human companionship. While other, more fish-like merfolk have little connection to us or our descendants, if humans went extinct in this flooded world, our semi-aquatic cousins wouldn't be far behind. Our two species would go into that good night together. But things are a bit different in Minos' generation. With land returning, many merfolk have settled in shallows around the new islands, with easy access to air, places to rest, and space to set up gardens and nurseries for the young, continuing to collaborate with humans more out of solidarity than necessity. As land continues to rise, they'll stay close to the tide, but live alongside humanity once there's enough land to support both species. But at that point, Will they grow apart, akin to their ancient ancestors in our day, or will this new connection prove unbreakable? Well, I guess it's really up to humans and merfolk like Minnow and Noma, both inheritors of the New World. Well, that's enough for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Planet Ripple Logs. You can purchase books from the series proper through Amazon or itch.io, read a draft of the first book for free online, watch videos like this early, and access more special content on Patreon, all linked in the description. Your support makes this happen. See you soon with more of the Planet Ripple Logs.